What's up, Liron here, and in this episode of The Paint Show, we'll be reviewing Tropical Phthalo Blue by SAA. What's up, Liron here. Thank you for joining me in another episode of The Paint Show. I was just outside, painted this thing in the great studio outdoors, and in this episode of The Paint Show, finally we're back. Just taking a bit of a long breaks between episodes, but I'm not quitting. We'll be reviewing Tropical Phthalo Blue by SAA. Before we get started, two things. One, if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate a like, because that helps YouTube spread out the word and spread the video into more people, and I want to reach as many people as possible. Second note, on Saturday, my interview with Cesar Santos will be out. Would really appreciate if you make a mental note and check it out. I really wanted to reach as many people as possible and open up new conversations. So now, back to the video. Today we're going to be looking at this little neat paint. The pigment is Pigment Blue 15-3, meaning this is a green shade phthalo blue, which makes sense. The tropical blues are usually more green, but that's of course just a marketing name by SAA. Now in just a moment we're gonna look at this pan up close, because I really want you to see all the details. I left it in the wrapping because I want you to see me open this one up. And I just want to thank Chris Bushnell for sending me these. He also sent me the tubes of SAA. I really appreciate it, and it's been a pleasure using them so far, and it's been a pleasure reviewing them. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so let's look at this pan up close. Now, before we actually go over all of its characteristics, I just want to mention their website seems to have quite a lot of mistakes, but that's okay because their paints don't have a lot of mistakes. I love SAA paints, but their website has a few mistakes. So let's start addressing them. Tropical Phthalo Blue 110, this is the catalog number. Now, the pigment, as it says here, is PB153, that's Pigment Blue 15-3. On their website, they say it's Pigment Blue 15-1. I don't know why, but it actually, this one makes more sense. This is on the website they say beta phthalocyanine, though I wouldn't know if to trust that. Now the light fastness is 3. This is fully permanent. As they say, it's A. Now here it says transparent. On the website it says semi-transparent. We're gonna have to test it out and see and figure out what's the right thing. Just the PO box and some not really that interesting things, what it contains. Oh, so okay, so here we can see the actual contents of this one. So in any case, let's unwrap it now, and I want you to see, this is a beautiful wrapping, by the way, and these pens are relatively new. They used to work only in tubes, or I believe in for some paints. And again, I want to really thank Chris for sending me these. I love them, so let's check it out, and here we go. This is beautiful, a beautiful blue. I can already tell, but it is going to be on the cool side and will feel very greenish, so it probably won't be suitable for everything, but hopefully for tropical scenes it will be. Okay, so here it is, just an overview of what the pen looks like. And the wrapping is really nice on that. So with that being said, let's start testing this one out. Okay, so let's get started. And I have to admit, it's pretty fun going back to this setup and testing out some paint, since it's been such a long time since I did it. You know, I have to spend a lot of time creating and not just swatching. So sorry if that means fewer episodes of The Paint Show, but that's just me. Now you can get to see the paint here on the palette. I cleaned it up just for you. And we're gonna start with the very lightest wash. So this is very bright and happy blue, as you can see here. I would say that's the best way to define it from what I see now. It looks like this one, it's almost gives you a feeling of maybe even cerulean, but I will say I can feel the phthalo-ness of it. So that's going to be interesting. Maybe could be used for skies that have a bit more of a cooler but kind of happy and relaxing feeling to them. I could definitely imagine doing clouds and stuff like that using this. Let's try and push it to be as dark as possible. And if you look at the pen, it's actually quite dark. That's a good indication of how dark this paint can become, because if I'm going to do this here where there is no water, you'll see that it can get quite dark. And I love paints that are useful in that way, that have a large range. Let me zoom in a bit so you can better see some of the wet in wet action that I'm going to do now. So here we go. I'm just cleaning my brush, so now it's almost completely clean. I'm gonna pre-wet. No, it's completely clean. I'm gonna pre-wet this area here. Have a lot of water. The paper I'm using is a Saunders Waterford, 300 grams. This is rough texture because they ran out of cold press, so I had to resort to the rough texture, which is okay. It's decent. The brush I'm using is a Princeton size 12, and let's just start dabbing in some paint into this. Let me move it a bit. You can better see. And I'm just putting in the paint here, rather watered down, not too strong. And you can start imagining that these are clouds in the sky or whatever you want. I'm going to start adding a bit more paint to it. This is very soft, and all of their paints are quite soft, which I love. They re-wet easily. They're very soft, but I will say that I had zero problems carrying them with me when working outside. So it's like really a perfect composition. I don't know how they get it, but it's just such a beautiful, such a great brand and such beautiful paints. Let's try lifting a bit. So I'm gonna, I wet the brush, now I'm gonna wipe it almost completely dry. Just try to grab some of that back. It's still wet, so it's quite easy. So yeah, very interesting paint, I would say. I actually think it'll be cool to compare it to Phthalo Blue by Daniel Smith. So let me show you. This is Phthalo Blue by Daniel Smith. It's not tropical, it's just phthalo. And you can see it here. This almost makes the Phthalo Blue by Daniel Smith look like French ultramarine in some way. Let me show you on the paper so you can better see. There's quite a lot of difference between the two, as you can see here. So this one's much brighter and happier. So it will work really well for tropical scenes, water, stuff like that. So next up, let's do some dry brushing, and that'll show us what it really looks like in its darkest, I would say, manifestation. Now, because this paper has a rough texture, you can really get to see everything very easily and create this dry brush effect very easily, which I love, like so. Just dry brushing all around the text that what I wrote down for myself. So that's what it looks like. Let's try and darken it a bit more here. You can see there's a bit of bubbles here, but that shouldn't really matter as much. Next up, I want us to try some mixes. So actually, one of the colors I want to mix this the most with is Raw Sienna by Sennelier. It's probably the only paint of them that I actually enjoyed using. So I'm just gonna place a bit of that here, and then I'm gonna grab, I'll try not to contaminate the pen itself too much. So here we go. Now, the reason I'm so curious about the combination of these two is mainly because I know the phthalos and the raw sienna and ochres mix really well together and create very interesting muted greens, as you can see here. So already a beautiful combination. I'm gonna try and push it to its darkest version. So let's try that, or maybe just a darker version. And you can see here, really, really beautiful. I love the way this looks. Let's now try just cleaning out my brush. I'm gonna try it out with some Perylene Red here. So Perylene Red it's a red, but it has a bit of warmth to it, so it can almost feel a little pink. Let's add a bit of that blue in there. And you can see a very nice muted purple. Which makes sense, because if you think about it, this is closer to green than it is to purple. So when you mix it with a red, it can become probably a little more muted, because you get a bit of all primary colors in there. The very beautiful way. It's not that muted, it actually looks really nice. And now, finally, what else do I want to mix it with? Let's try with some Burnt Sienna by Daniel Smith also. So here we go. This should produce a rather ugly combination. I'm already warning you. I never liked the way Phthalos and Burnt Siennas look together, but some people like them, so that's, I guess, a matter of taste. So here we go. Went accidentally to the raw sienna. Now it's burnt sienna. So, you know, some people will like that combination. It's actually not that bad, I have to admit. I've seen worse. Now I want to try it out with maybe let's try the Nickel Azo Yellow, a bit of a happier yellow, and see what kind of results we get here. So this is really nice, as you can see here. I love the way this looks. Nickel Azo Yellow is really such a beautiful yellow that I really enjoy. I will say, I think this is transparent, so I think the information on the tube wins against the website. It's not semi-transparent in my opinion, though I'm not really a master of being able to tell, but just the way it handles feels to me like it's transparent. Next up, what else do I want to try this one with? Let's try with a bit of alizarin crimson, so that'll be an even warmer red, and my gut tells me that it should neutralize a little more than the Parylene, so let's give it a shot. But quite similar, as you can see. Many of these combinations won't necessarily produce major differences here. I want to try out, and I didn't leave much room, I'm going to try it out here, just a bit of gray. So I want to try and gray it out. So let's give that a go. Actually, I can just go ahead and add some yellow to this, and it'll probably gray it out beautifully. So yeah, that worked out nicely. So a bit of yellow, a bit of red, never mind that it was alizarin crimson previously, and a bit of blue. And you can see how it creates a very nice, actually, gray. I like that. So like this. Now it's a bit too purple, so I'm going to add a bit more yellow. And again, I'm moving on to a different yellow. I like the way this looks, and I think this can neutralize quite nicely. Let's try another one. Let's try neutralizing it for real. So I'm going to use some raw sienna, maybe a bit of nickel azo yellow. Then we're going to add a bit of alizarin crimson. I'm just going with instinct. There isn't that much of science behind it, really. So now it's quite green. You can barely see. Let me move it a bit. So now this is almost green, I would say, which means we'll have to add a bit more red to it. And now you get this nice little gray. I think this is quite gray, and this is as gray as it'll get. And hopefully you can see that. So you can mute it quite easily. I actually love the way these look. They look so nice. Let's connect them just for fun. So in any case, yeah, I hope you enjoyed seeing this paint. This is a rather quick episode. I do want to try and do some demos in the future in these episodes, actually show you the paint in use in a full scene. This time I don't think we'll do one, but maybe in the next one. But in any case, this is one of my favorites. Really, it looks beautiful with Parylene and also the nickel azo yellow, and also all of these, I love them. Let me hold it up a little closer so you can better see some of the details here. And I want to show you also the pan itself. So this is a very nice paint, and I think I'll definitely use it in many paintings. I can find a lot of uses to it. Now look at the comparison between the Phthalo blue, and this is not contaminated. This is the Phthalo blue by Daniel Smith. Notice the difference between the two. This one looks much more cerulean-ish and a little brighter, a little happier. You can see the difference here as well. And with that being said, let's wrap up this video. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing this paint. If you live in the UK, you must try SAA, and even if you live anywhere else, I think they do deliveries and there's no real issue with it. I would highly recommend their ultramarine blue, or was it French ultramarine? Both are probably excellent. The alizarin crimson permanent is perfect. This one I love a lot as well. What other cool paints I tried? The yellow was a little too opaque for my taste. I think it was New Gamboge, but I'll definitely try a more... I actually have a more lemony yellow here, or I'll try a more transparent one because I think I'll love that. SAA are incredible. If I had them readily available here, I'll probably buy just them. I wouldn't need anything else, not even Daniel Smith. I just ordered Daniel Smith usually online because here in stores we only have the real good brand we have is Winsor Newton, and these can somehow turn out a little more expensive than Daniel Smith, but go figure. But in any case, I really hope you enjoyed this one. I'm going to put links down in the description box to SAA's website and also to some of the other colors I mixed here, because you may want to try these out, like the Phthalo blue and all sorts of other colors that I show here, the raw sienna. If I find links on Amazon, I will put them there. These are affiliate links, which means when you make a purchase, I make a small commission, but I fully stand behind all of the paints that I recommend, so I hope you'll check these out. I want to remind you once again, if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. This really means a lot to me because it helps YouTube push the video more. And another thing, Saturday, the Cesar Santos interview, it's going to be really interesting, really philosophical, really deep. So if you're interested in that kind of thing, you can just put it in the background while you do something, treat it as a podcast. I'll probably also publish it as part of the weekly podcast. So now it's time to wrap it up. Take care, and I will see you again in another vid on Saturday.